captains at a party. Pretoria answered the call, like it gone to sleep. Adam Godwin stand tall. In the harbor of Durban, the seal ships ride. The ANC plays a game of seek and hide. They call for the exercise in like the east wind, and point to Beijing and say they're the ones who sin. So I was under this, I guess, at the gate. Now they say who invited them, it must have been fake. Confusion in the Union building, shadows on the wall. Now the truth gets buried in the marble hall. Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it the suit in the office or the gun in hand? Oh, that from the Congo mud to the Pretoria street, the drums of the rock start to skip a beat. No books for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the tenor of the go take a rest. And she speaks of an inquiry, a court to be won, but the days turn to weeks and the paper is torn. No answers coming down as the heavy silence, while the heroes in the bush face no rebel violence. Sent to the jungle with no wings in the sky, only 3 helicopters, how can they fly? No medevac coming when they let us to rain. Chased by the rebels, oh the pride and the pain. No uniform, no boot, no boots, away. Look at the budget for the big salute. P7, 2 million for retirement spree. Modern Navy is sinking beneath the sea. Not a submarine moving, not a sailor in sight, but the body lights are burning to look at Pretoria night. The chief of defense, he's a law to himself. The commander of the Navy puts the stay on the self, defying the podium, ignoring the sir, while the ghost of the fly start to wake and to stir. And what's this whisper? What's this dark news? A chairman charged with murder, and he's the one they choose. Promoted to the side, for the dockets go forward. Is this the new story that's being told? Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it Siren? Is it Lange? Cause Ronnie understand. Oh, from the Pound Hope to the Pretoria street, the drums of the rogue start to skip a beat. No boost for the boys, no armor for the chest, but million for the tenor on the moat. The rest, the generals are dancing, the politicians are glancing, the money is vanishing, and the soldiers are wandering. Who's the boss? Siren. Who's the boss? Anki. The military's gone rogue in the sun. The parade has only just begun.
Hey folks, welcome back. It's Feroshka's birthday, so we would be remiss without giving her this birthday gift.
A fucking goat outside.
It's just a goat.
No, it's a fucking goat.
It's a goat. No, baby, it's just a goat. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Not quite clear yet. Anyway, welcome back to the program, folks. Good evening for Night Owls. Yeah, you must be in a different time zone. Okay, thank you, Marshall Eagle. Thank you. Must be Central Time Zone. It's a fucking goat. No, it's just a goat. But Daddy said it's a fucking goat. Out of the mouths of babes. Karen! Karen! Stop it, Karen! Kids say the darndest things. Stop it! Anyway, all right. Okay, guys, let's talk about a few things here. I don't know how long I can go. I don't feel so great. My chest is bothering me again tonight. But what an embarrassing performance by the United States soccer team. They didn't want it. They came out. They were amazing for 10 minutes. I was really into it. I actually thought soccer was exciting for 10 minutes. They scored in 2 minutes plus, and then they dominated, and they just fell flat. and they gave up 2 easy goals. Then they gave up an easy third goal. Unbelievable. Stupid defensive mistakes. Turnovers cost his team dearly. They tied it up in the second half, and instead of going in with a perfect record, 9 points and a goal difference, they give up 3 goals, and they gave up 1 in 2 games against better opponents. They gave up 3 goals against Turkey, and it's just so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing to watch. This is why I hate soccer. It's such a lame game. But before we get to that, Iran has once again broken the ceasefire. It is time to bomb them into the dark ages. And while you're at it, just take Tom Eaton and ship him off to Tehran. I keep reading this drivel coming from this mental midget writing about the United States and his vile contempt for America. I'm so sick of people like Tom Eaton. They really need to be given their comeuppance. But let's take a look at this. Iran once again struck a vessel, forcing a pause in evacuations of stranded seafarers and demonstrating its ability to restrict the critical waterway despite the agreement reached last week. U.S. officials told CNN the vessel was attacked by an Iranian drone but did not provide further details. While Iran has not claimed responsibility, Thursday's attack comes hours after its powerful Revolutionary Guards warned that vessels would only be given safe passage via Iranian routes, challenging the Trump administration's claim the strait is free and open once more. The fresh attack, first reported since the U.S. and Iran agreed last week to work towards a peace deal, prompted an uptick in global oil prices and came as Secretary of State Marco Rubio tried to sell the agreement to skeptical Gulf nations. The cargo vessel was struck on the starboard side by an unknown projectile, damaging the bridge. Yikes. Vessels were advised to transit with caution and report suspicious activity. The attack forced the United Nations International Maritime Organization to halt its mission to evacuate hundreds of ships and more than 11,000 seafarers who've been stranded in the Persian Gulf since the war broke out. I've always reiterated the safety of the seafarers remains paramount, said IMO Secretary General Arsenio Dominguez. Therefore, to ensure coordinated approach and navigational safety, the evacuation plan will be paused until further clarity is obtained. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The current commitment between Washington and Tehran includes a commitment to reopen the waterway without tolls for 60 days and has already seen the U.S. lift its blockade of Iranian ports, but the 14-point memorandum also grants Iran a formal role in overseeing commercial traffic. Now, that's it. I'm done with this. It is time. Stop pussyfooting around, Donald Trump. It is time to put an end to this nonsense. These ghouls have no intention, and they're going to try to take over the international waterway. Just bomb them into this Stone Age. It's time. It's time. This is ridiculous. These Iranians are ridiculous. Meanwhile, Turkey shocks the United States in literally a last gasp goal. There was no time remaining after the goal. 3-2 in extra time. The U.S. chokes away a victory. Unbelievable. Scored the go-ahead goal in extra time to defeat the U.S. 3-2. USA was a better team in the second half, so we're wondering what's going on. Why didn't we start Christian Pulisic in the first half? The minute he came in, the U.S. played much better, but they screwed up in the end, and Pulisic got smoked. He had a nutmeg through his legs, and he made 2 mistakes, and that got them a chance to get the ball where it would be scored. USA blows it versus Turkey, but moves on to the round of 32. U.S. men's national team fell 3-2 to Turkey in its final World Cup group stage in Inglewood, California. The game appeared destined to end in a draw, but substitute Kaan Ayhan scored with literally the last kick of the game to stun the men's national team. The result was academic, with the men already having advanced, but still it was a blow for the U.S. as it looks ahead to the round of 32 against Bosnia-Herzegovina on Wednesday, July 1st. Austin Trusty opened the scoring just 3 minutes in, giving the U.S. yet another early goal in this World Cup, with Turkey struck right back, taking the lead through goals through Arda Güler and then Orkan Koku. U.S. drew level just minutes in the second half, thanks to Sebastian Berhalter, whose clean hit from the top of the box leveled the game. But here's the goal in the end. Well, no, I can't play that. I'll probably get a copyright strike. Wow. And Christian Pulisic just missed a shot past the post just before that. So, Turkey beats the men's national team with his last gasp winner. Unbelievable. What a shame. What a shame. Heinrich says, what a feeling to be reunited with our daughter and finally be together again. Grateful to be in the land of the free, beginning this new chapter as family. Okay, so who just arrived, Heinrich? You or your daughter? And why are you typing the same thing twice? Hi, Snippets. Oh, I want to say something, and it's probably not for anybody in the chat tonight, but I'm getting a little bit frustrated with people sending me messages and then getting all bent out of shape. I was going through Telegram earlier to send links out to the latest video I posted, and I had a sad puppy from somebody. And somebody whose number I don't know has been sending me messages which should never have risen to the top of my Telegram with the hundreds of messages. So I never knew I received a message from this person. So they wrote me a message earlier and asked me why I hate them. I'm so sick. This is really starting to annoy me. It's really getting old. So they said, why did you block me on YouTube live streams? I'm so sorry you hate me so much. Why did you do to make me feel like I was so bad? You made me so bad in your stream and then you enjoy it. What type of person are you? I only ask you simple questions. You always make me feel like a stupid person. I don't even know who this person is. You're not a good person. I don't want you to feel like I'm a fool or someone you don't care about. I hope you have some time to talk to me and sort it out. So disappointed in you because you're not the person I used to know anymore. It's a very heartbreaking point in my life. Sorry you hate me so much. What the hell is this person talking about? I don't even know who this person is. I don't even know who this person is. They write to me while I'm sick. I have no idea what they're talking about. I haven't blocked anybody on YouTube. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. I had a guy in Texas who sends me all these nasty things and sends me voice notes and is rude and disrespectful to me, and I'm politely respond to the guy, and he's like, and so then he writes to me and says, okay, we can chat tomorrow, and then he doesn't contact me all day, and then he sends me a nasty note and says, you said you were going to call me in the morning. So I copied the text of what he sent and said, no, you said we were going to chat today. I haven't heard from you. I never promised to call you in the morning. It is getting very old. It is getting very, very old. I mean, and it's not 1, 2, or 3. It's so many people. No, Chesig, it's not the platforms. It's people sending me emails and sending me WhatsApps. So tonight, earlier today, before I left to go meet with some refugees who arrived today, Rob mentioned that he'd sent me an email, and he didn't complain. He said, I sent you an email, and he gave me the email name to look for, so I looked for it, and I found it. He said on June 2nd. Today is the June 26th, or 25th. On 23 days, he didn't complain. He offered to do an interview. He's been here since the 2nd of June. He offered to do the interview. So I gave me a number. I called him, and we set up an interview for Friday. He recognized that I'm kind of busy, and I didn't see this. I traveled to Georgia in the meantime. I've been sick. And so then someone else, Monza, sent me something on June 5th. I haven't had a chance to respond to Monza yet, but Monza has been complaining. No, but it's just ridiculous, Rena. I mean, I don't get with this. I'm not the person. I'm the same person. Oh my gosh. What did I do this evening? What did I do this evening? This evening, I gave up my afternoon and my evening to welcome Spook to the United States. Remember, a few days ago, Spook said Spook's coming to the USA, coming to Pennsylvania. Well, Spook is here. I met Spook and Spook's husband. Met the two of them today. Took them out to a local warehouse shop. Used my membership card so they could shop there, get some water, get some fresh meat and things, and talk to them and had a lovely time. And spent 4 hours with them today. Yeah, I'm just a terrible person. I hate people. A bunch of horse manure. It's really getting nauseating. It really is. You know, I'm so sick of this. What do these people think, that I have like a day that has 96 hours in it, and that I have time for everybody all the time, every day? It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, there's a fly in here. Where'd he come from? Did I get him? That damn fly in here. When did he get in the house? The audacity to sit right there in front of me. I don't think I got him. It's just, it's unbelievable. I don't even know who this person is. And they're like, why do you hate me? Why did you block? I didn't block anybody. I'm so sick of this nonsense. Yeah, Spook is in Pennsylvania. Yep. And so I spent time with Spook tonight. Yeah, Vroshka, you could tell him what a terrible person I am. I never have time for anybody. I don't do anything, do I? I don't help anybody. A bunch of nonsense. I mean, it's three different times in the past 24 hours this has happened that I've noticed. Yep. Anyway, so the U.S. stunk up the place. Yes, Virtual Western Cape, people lose perspective. And some people are self-absorbed. No, Rena, I get to be this all the time. It's just, you know, it's actually comical. It's really sad, but it's comical. Anyway, so I just thought so. So So I met Spook, and remember that the New York Times went to the trouble to make 2 articles the other day, and in the articles they said that yeah, look at all this welcome package these people are getting. Like, this is wrong. First off, let's talk about what they got, because I saw what they got tonight. Spook, show me what they got. In addition to the items you're going to see on the screen, they also got a U.S. flag. Each household, because of the U.S.'s 250th birthday that arrives now through the 4th of July, I imagine, is getting the following. You ready for this? They're getting an Amazon Kindle, which retails for $129, but currently during Prime Day is on sale for $89. But I don't know if they were donated or if they're bought in bulk. They're also getting the Honest Book of America's Founders by the Heritage Foundation, or by the Prager University, the 1776 report, and a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Who the hell would object to a refugee coming to America being given a free copy of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? Only the New York Times. Only the New York Times would have an objection to giving refugees who come to this country a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution for free, provided by the Heritage Foundation. These are sick people at the New York Times. And the 1776 report, I'm going to read that from that to you. So this is what we're giving to those, because it's 250th anniversary of America, the refugees. Something that wasn't given before, it's given right now. I don't know how long it's going to be given. So those 3 books are free. The U.S. government didn't pay for those books, not one of them. The tablet, I don't know who's paying for that. But that's what they're giving them. But the New York Times objects to refugees coming to America to get a copy of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence for free. What a sick bunch of pricks. What a sick bunch of pricks to actually complain about that. So let me show you what's in the 1776 report, because when it came out, I read it. And in the New York Times, they said that the book glosses over slavery. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. Slavery. Page 10. Very short book. Page 10, page 11, and page 12. Nearly 3 pages on slavery. And the first challenge, it says, challenges to America's principles. The very first challenge to America's principles listed is slavery. Slavery. So they lie because it suits their needs. This book is an excellent history by genuine historians, not progressive retards who understand the true history of America, not the 1619 propaganda about America. So let's take a look at this, okay? Let me go to this. I'll show you. If you look at the table of contents, this is the 1776 report commissioned by President Trump in his last administration, January 2021. And we have introduction, the meaning of the Declaration, the Constitution of Principles, and the challenges to America's principles. Page 10, slavery. Progressivism, fascism, communism, racism, and identity politics. So it talks about slavery and racism and identity politics as 2 of the 5 big challenges facing America. And they lie, and they say that we overlook this. Then that gets more pages than the national renewal. And then the Declaration of Independence is included here. So this is what they have a problem with. They are sick, twisted people. So let me go to page 10 for this thing. And I'm going to read to you what this... And by the way, the first photograph that appears in the document, the first painting is Washington crossing Delaware. But the first photograph after the introduction is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, I'm sorry. We've just glossed over Black America. Yeah, we've just glossed over Black America. What a crock. There's the Declaration of Independence. What a crock. Okay. Frederick Douglass. Oh my gosh, we've just ignored the 13 or 11% of America that's black. What a crock. What a crock. And let's get to page 10. Challenges facing America. And this is slavery. The most common charge leveled against the founders and hence against our country itself is that they were hypocrites who didn't believe in their stated principles, and therefore the country they built rests on a lie. This charge is untrue and has done enormous damage, especially in recent years with a devastating effect on our civic unity and social fabric. Many Americans labor under the illusion that slavery was somehow uniquely American eagle. It is essential to insist at the outset that the institution be seen in a much broader perspective. It's very hard for people brought up in the comforts of modern America in a time in which the idea that all human beings have inviolable rights and inherent dignity that is almost taken for granted, to imagine the cruelties and enormities that were endemic in earlier times. But the unfortunate fact is the institution of slavery has been more the rule than the exception throughout human history. It is the Western world's repudiation of slavery only just beginning to build at the time of the American Revolution, which marked a dramatic change in moral sensibilities. The American founders were living on the cusp of this change in a manner that straddled two worlds. George Washington owned slaves but came to detest the practice and wished for a plan adopted for the abolition of it. By the end of his life, he freed all the slaves in his family estate. Thomas Jefferson also held slaves, and yet including in his original draft declaration a strong condemnation of slavery, which was removed at the insistence of certain slaveholding delegates. Inscribed in marble at his memorial in Washington, D.C., is Jefferson's foreboding reference to the injustice of slavery. I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever. James Madison saw to it that the Constitutional Convention, that even when the Constitution compromised with slavery, it never used the word slave to do so. No mere semantics, he insisted that it was wrong to omit in the Constitution the idea that there could be property in men. Indeed, the compromises of the Constitutional Convention were just that, compromises. The Three-Fifths Compromise was proposed by an anti-slavery delegate to prevent the South from counting their slaves as whole persons for purposes of increasing their congressional representation. The so-called Fugitive Slave Clause, perhaps the most hated protection of all, accommodated pro-slavery delegates, but was written so that the Constitution did not sanction slavery in the states where it existed. There's also the provision in the Constitution that forbade any restriction of the slave trade for 20 years after ratification, at which time Congress immediately outlawed the slave trade. The First Continental Congress agreed to discontinue the slave trade and boycott other nations that engaged in it. The Second Continental Congress reaffirmed this policy. The Northwest Ordinance, a pre-constitutional law passed to govern the Western Territories and passed again by the First Congress and signed into law by President Washington, explicitly banned slavery from those territories and from any states that might be organized there. Above all, there's the clear language of the Declaration itself. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. The founders knew slavery was incompatible with that truth. It's important to remember that as a question of practical politics, no durable union could have been formed without the compromise among the states on the issue of slavery. It is reasonable to believe that slavery could have been abolished sooner had the slaves. Is it reasonable to believe that slavery could have been abolished sooner had the slave states not been in a union they're free? Perhaps. But what is momentous is that people that included slaveholders founded their nation on the proposition that all men are created equal. So why did they say that without immediately abolishing slavery? To establish the principle of consent as a ground of all political legitimacy and to check against possible future drift towards or certain return to despotism for sure. But also, in Lincoln's words, to declare the right so that the enforcement of it might as fast as circumstances should permit. Might follow as fast. The foundation of the Republic planted the seeds for the death of slavery in America. Declaration's unqualified proclamation of human equality flatly contradict the existence of human bondage, and along with the Constitution's compromises understood in light of the proposition, set the stage for abolition. Indeed, the movement to abolish slavery that first began in the United States led the way to bringing about the end of legal slavery. Benjamin Franklin was president of the Pennsylvania Society for promoting the abolition of slavery, and John Jay, the first Chief Justice of the United States, was the president of a similar society in New York. John Adams opposed slavery his entire life as a foul congregation. I got him. I got the fly. Ugh, not a very smart one. Ugh. Sorry. Sorry, folks. I was killing the fly. I got him. He was stunned down here and he curled up and I murdered him. So, ugh, nasty. Anyway. So, Frederick Douglass had been born a slave but escaped and eventually became a prominent spokesman for the abolitionist movement. He initially condemned the Constitution, but after studying its history, came to insist that it was a glorious liberty document and that the Declaration of Independence was a ring bolt to chain your nation's destiny. And yet, over the course of the first half of the 19th century, a growing number of Americans increasingly denied the truth at the heart of the founding. Senator John Calhoun of South Carolina famously rejected the Declaration's principle of equality as the most dangerous of all political error and a self-evident lie. He never doubted that the founders meant what they said. To this rejection, Calhoun added a new theory in which rights were not in every individual in the laws of nature and nature's God, but in groups of races according to historical evolution. This new theory was developed to protect slavery. Calhoun claimed it was a positive good and specifically to prevent lawful majorities from stopping the spread of slavery into federal territories where it did not yet exist. In the way our fathers originally left the slavery question, the institution was in the course of ultimate extinction, and the public mind rests in the belief that it was in the course of ultimate extinction, Abraham Lincoln wrote in 1858. All I have asked or desired anywhere is that it should be placed back upon again the basis the fathers of our government originally placed it upon. This conflict was resolved, but at the cost of more than 600,000 lives. Constitutional amendments were passed to abolish slavery, grant equal protection under the law, and guarantee the right to vote regardless of race. Yet the damage done by the denial of core American principles and by the attempted substitution of a theory of group rights in their place proved widespread and long-lasting. Indeed, these are the direct ancestors of some of the destructive theories that today divide our people and tear at the fabric of our country. So there you go. That sets aside all the lies by the New York Times and by the 1619 clowns. Slavery was not the original sin of the United States. Slavery was the international norm. The United States set in motion the way to end slavery and did so at a cost of over 600,000 lives. We banned the slave trade. As I've said all along, everything said there is everything I've told you on this program for the past 6 years. The United States set in motion the process to end slavery. The 3/5 compromise wasn't counting black people as 3/5 of a person because they're less human. It was counting property. And unfortunately, humans were property at that time. And if we had not had a compromise, there would not have been a country, as I've said before. Just like if we didn't have a compromise on the Senate so that every state was represented equally despite their population size, we would never have had a union. These were compromises by learned individuals to form a union. And it worked. The first chance we had to end slave trade, we did. 20 years into the Republic, that was banned. As soon as that law expired, we banned slavery. The slave trade was banned. We couldn't import slaves into America. That doesn't mean it didn't happen on a few occasions where people brought in illegally, but it was banned. We even hung a ship's captain for bringing Africans in as slaves. That's a fact. A fact overlooked by the racists in the 1619 Project who lie about America, whose entire objective is to divide this country on race because they're black supremacists who have sticks up their asses and hate America. The same with the New York Times. They have sticks up their asses and they hate America. And they refuse to tell the truth about this country. 600,000 people gave their lives over the fight over slavery. 7 of my 8 great-great-grandfathers fought in the Union Army from Maryland and Virginia against the Confederacy to end this conflict, to preserve the Union and to end slavery. Yet we have to listen to this garbage from the New York Times pissing and moaning and whining about these things being given to people in the 250th anniversary of our republic. They are sick and twisted to whine and cry about this being given when it's not coming out of their pockets. It's donated by donors. Thank you, Arnold Nevling, for your 70 Rand super chat. Did some digging, and my great-great-great-great-grandfather's sister was a white slave from Ireland, was sent to Australia. Yep, I'm not surprised, Martin. Yep, my ancestors have ancestors from Ireland as well. Some of them wound up, not my direct ancestors, wound up in the Bahamas as slaves. Yep. Yep, so many Irish girls were lost to slavery, and it's just completely forgot. And that you don't see them today because their descendants are brown, because they were bred with African slaves in the Caribbean. Yep, bred with African slaves to wipe out their history and their existence. Yep, absolutely true. Thanks for all the work you do, the person you are. I've been watching your videos for a while, busy with the sent in form. Okay, good luck with that, S.A. Banks. Varoshka said, you do so much for FTs, your time, kindness, compassion, gesture, beyond words, experience, terrible, absolutely not your being. Thank you for all you do. Cool. Khasigi says, I'm sorry, why should refugees know about slavery? Well, because it's part of American history. If you're coming to America, you should know the history. I lived in Botswana. I knew the history of Botswana. I lived in Liberia. I knew the history of Liberia. I knew the history of Uganda. I knew the history of Ethiopia. Every place I've lived, I've known the history. I knew the history of every land that I lived in Germany and everywhere in Germany. I knew the history. I studied it. It's good to know the history, to know where a place is coming from. To know, for instance, that here where I'm at, there were Native Americans, the Lenape Indians were living around here. My ancestors arrived here and settled here in Pennsylvania. I didn't grow up in Pennsylvania, but I had ancestors who were here. I had Dunker ancestors. They were called Dunkers because they did full immersion baptism. It was a Christian religion. And they moved down into Maryland and further down into the Shenandoah Valley. And in fact, my great-great-grandfather who served in the Civil War, I got to find that book sometime. I think it's downstairs, my genealogy books. The history of William Bear Grimes. Talked about when he was a kid and the Indians came up on the porch one day to his farm. There were still Indians there in the 1800s. Still Indians. Yep. Yeah, so there's a very rich history in Pennsylvania, the Penn's Woods. Lots of interaction with Native Americans in this state, and also some battles with the British and with the French and all kinds of things. Fort Duquesne had a big battle with the French, and General Braddock was killed out there, and George Washington was part of that party. He survived, and then, yeah, long, interesting history. But slavery is part of America's history. It's part of every country's history for the most part. Oh, I hate her probably make a video that I kill flies. Yeah, but you didn't see me kill the fly. I just claimed to have killed it. The New York Times wants to focus on it because they want to promote this as a story about racism and hatred of Trump. That's what it's all about. These people are demented. They're absolutely demented. Now, Texas is called the Lone Star State because it was an independent republic. It was a country, one state, one star. Thank you. Oh, Veroshka, wow. This is being terrible. Pure compassion and kindness is terrible, and society has lost its mind. I'm grateful for you. Veroshka, that was unnecessary, especially on your birthday. Thank you so much for that. Wow. Very kind of you. That's very kind of you. Boca says thank you. Bye, donkey. He's sitting right there on top of my Constitution. Keep my Constitution, my Declaration of Independence there. Yeah, history must not just be rose of the thorn is where the truth lies. Exactly. And, you know, in race, and not racism, but slavery was a terrible institution, but it was the norm in the world. This week, you mentioned that South African is actually from Cameroon. Is that true? And here, can I discourage? Yes, you're talking about the Nguni-speaking peoples come from West Africa, from the region that is today Cameroon. They spread west. The Bantu peoples went west across Africa. Then they went east, where they ran into the Neolithic people. And those people in East Africa, they couldn't budge. So they turned south and they went down the Rift Valley. For over 1,000 years, they traveled down the Rift Valley, moving with their cattle, displacing the Pygmies in Central Africa and other groups. And then they crossed the Zambezi, and then they crossed the Limpopo, and eventually found their way down into South Africa, primarily coming down the East Coast, some going into the Highveld, but the rest coming down the East Coast. And eventually those people continued to move on. At the time this movement happened, there was no such thing as Zulu or Xhosa or Venda. They didn't exist. These are ethnic identities that existed after time and formulated after these groups arrived in South Africa. They were just Nguni-speaking Bantu peoples and all their proto-languages. That's why these languages are so closely related. Basotho is closely related to Tswana. And all these languages have similar things. We all understand what Bafana Bafana means and Nana Nana. We all understand that means because they're common in all these Nguni-speaking languages. Yes, so it's true. The Nguni-speaking peoples are recent arrivals in southern Africa. The present-day Khoi and San have been there arguably perhaps as much as 30 to 50,000 years, arguably. But they weren't the first hominids that were there. Homo naledi has been found in the Sterkfontein caves. Clearly not the same genome as anyone living today. It's a extinct hominid line. Yep. They're not truly from South Africa. The Zulu first off, the Zulu didn't even exist until 1818 or thereabouts. Shaka Zulu formed the Zulu kingdom. There was no Zulu before that. There were clouds of people, but they weren't Zulus. He formed it. He forged an empire. There was no Zulu before Shaka Zulu. Well, I mean, yes, there was. I'm sorry. Yeah, a couple generations before him, but before the 1700s, there was no Zulu nation. Didn't exist. So it just didn't exist before that. Yeah, it formed in the crucible of that, and then he expanded into an empire by absorbing and killing everyone around him. You're correct, Hasigi. The New York Times is set because the book disparages falsehoods. They don't want people knowing the truth. Are 40,000 people missing? Last I heard, over 200 people are dead, and that toll is going to climb. It's terrible what happened in Venezuela. And, of course, the United States is first on the scene, a country that's abused us for decades, and we're first on the scene to help them. No, let's look at the, we'll just do a quick search on this very quickly. That's not the window I want. That's not what I want either. Gosh, things keep opening up. Close that program, quit. Okay, I'll come over here. Let's look for the, Bantu migrations in Africa. Okay, let's see what they got here. Oh, here you go. That's a good map for it. So, here is from the Pasteur Institute in France. So, you see they came from Cameroon, they went east, and then they went south. Using genomic data from 2,000 individuals from 57 populations throughout sub-Saharan Africa, research team from the Institut Pasteur and the CNRS, led by CNRS scientists Etienne Patin and Louis Quintana Murcia, in close cooperation with several African, European, and American institutions, have now shed light on the question. The scientists' research revealed that populations of Bantu speakers from eastern and southern Africa are genetically more similar to populations based south of the equatorial forest than those to the north. These data clearly, therefore, support the late split theory, suggesting that Bantu first crossed the equatorial forest before branching off into two groups following migratory routes towards eastern and southern sub-Saharan Africa, where they came in contact with autochthonous populations inhabiting these regions, the Pygmies and then the Khoisan. They then explored the admixture of Bantu speakers with the local populations they came in contact with. Their research demonstrates that over the past millennium, the Bantus admixed with Pygmy populations in West Central Africa, Afro-Asiatic speaking populations from East Africa, and San populations from South Africa. Surprisingly, these successive admixture events appear to have been beneficial for the Bantu people, conferring advantageous genetic mutations that help them adapt to their new environments. From the admixture for the Pygmies, for example, Bantu peoples acquired a new form of HLA system which helps trigger immune response to infection. Another compelling example indicates that when the Bantus arrived in eastern sub-Saharan Africa, the local populations passed on a variability associated with the gene that codes for lactase, which enables individuals to continue digesting milk into adulthood. Lactose tolerance. Yep. So, now let's look at Wikipedia. And you can see Wikipedia, how it breaks it down. So, before the Bantu expansion, Khoisan-speaking peoples inhabited southern Africa. Their descendants have largely mixed with other peoples and have adopted their languages. A few still live by foraging, often supplemented by working from neighboring farms in the arid regions of the Kalahari, while a number of Nama continue their traditional subsistence by raising stock in Namibia and adjacent South Africa. Eastern Stream. Anyway, so yeah. So that's the Bantu migrations. It's true. They're idiots. They don't know anything about their history. That's what I was thinking. They were never a thing until some random person decided to make his own empire. Exactly. Saw a video of a woman twisting Southern history as she not mentioning once the tribes killed each other as well. Scary part is she twisted so eloquently that we delivered many. Yeah, no, the Mfecane. Let's talk about the Mfecane. It's funny how they all forget about the Mfecane. Okay. Let's talk about the Mfecane. Come on, search. Okay. Encyclopedia Britannica. Let's go with that. That's a reliable source, right? Mfecane is a series of Zulu and other Nguni wars and forced migrations of the second and third decades of the 19th century that changed the demographic, social, and political configuration of southern and central Africa and parts of eastern Africa. The Mfecane was set in motion by the rise of the Zulu military kingdom under Shaka, 1787 to 1828, when he died, but he started it in 1818. He revolutionized Nguni warfare. The rise of Shaka's kingdom, which took place during a time of drought and social unrest, was in itself part of a wider process of state formation in southeastern Africa, which probably resulted from intensified competition over trade at Delgoa Bay. The pattern of the Mfecane, in which tribe was set against tribe over an ever-increasing radius, was highly successful in areas weakened by overpopulation and overgrazing, and no white people were involved. In South Africa itself, the Mfecane caused immense suffering and devastated large areas as refugees scrambled to safety in mountain fastnesses or were killed, thus easing the way for white expansion into Natal and the Highveld. Yeah, but the whites didn't do it, the blacks did it. In the Cape Colony, it greatly increased pressures on the eastern frontier as refugees known as Mfengu crowded in on the peoples of the Transkei. At the same time, however, as a result of the Mfecane, some of the most formidable kingdoms to oppose white penetration were created: the Sutu, the Swazi, the Ndebele, and the Gaza of Mozambique. So none of them existed before the Mfecane. They all formed as a consequence of the Mfecane. Hey, Mary Cat. Yes, the Khoi and San people are the most South African people. And by extension, some of the coloreds. Not all, but some of the coloreds who have Khoi and San heritage. Yep. What are we congratulating Bournemouth for? Hey, Sedgefield, what's up? What are we congratulating her for? Oh, you'll be here in time for the 4th. Okay. Thank you for all you're doing for us, Colonel. We appreciate what you're doing. Some people, they feel like they're entitled. It's so important. They must drop everything. Yeah. Hey, Shabby Tiger. Yeah, so that's the Mfecane. So, look, it's interesting because the Portuguese never made an effort to use South Africa as a base. They stopped here when they had to. The ships crashed against the shore, particularly on the Garden route. A number of ships crashed down near Port Elizabeth in that area, Mossel Bay. They actually landed in Mossel Bay in 1488. Europeans arrived in South Africa in 1488, 534 years ago. 534 years ago. The Nguni-speaking peoples only arrived in that area around that time. Yep. No, it's they just think they're so smart, but they don't know anything. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Fengu. So what Wikipedia has to say is different versions have been employed to serve a range of political purposes since inception of this historical concept. The label first emerged in 1830s and blamed the disruption on the actions of King Shaka, who was alleged to have waged near genocidal wars that depopulated land and sparked a chain reaction of violence as fleeing groups sought to conquer new lands. Since the latter half of the 20th century, this interpretation has fallen out of favor among scholars due to lack of historical evidence. The evidence is there. We know about Mzilikazi and how the Ndebele fled from the Zulu. The evidence is there. I don't know what they're talking about. It's fallen out of favor. This is a rewrite. This is nonsense. Yeah, unbelievable. So here you go. So here you can see a map of the Mfecane. Okay. So you see where the coasts are, the Great Fish River. No closer. All of that was British and Boers. Graafrenet, all of that. And the Khois. And then you had the Xhosa in that narrow spot. Now they're all the way to the Cape. The Zulu Empire spread out over there. And then the flight of Soshanguve and the Ndebele, who wound up in Zimbabwe. You got the Tswana up there, the Pedis. There you go. And the Mfengu, who came down along the coast. That is the true history of South Africa, not the lies perpetrated by racist history told today. Yep, that is the true history of South Africa, not the lies that you're told today. Yep, it's a great image. Yep, it's a shame. It's a shame. So Zulu Empire was just a tiny little piece of what is KwaZulu-Natal now. That's why I find it so funny when the king speaks for KwaZulu-Natal. Only a portion of KwaZulu-Natal is the Zulu land. Rennie says, it's amazing how much you know South Africa, more than we know of our own. I'll have to hide whenever I get to meet you. Why don't you leave before the 30th, Rust Monkey? Are you able to do that? I would leave before the 30th. Zulu broke the treaty, crossed the Buffalo River, Battle of Biscuit Boxes, York Drift. Yeah, well, the Zulu broke the treaty, but then the Brits also broke treaties too. So the 1879 invasion was not legitimate by the Brits. Yep. But as a consequence, one of my distant relatives, apparently named Lieutenant Wyatt, was involved in the streets named after him because he fought in the Anglo-Zulu War. Got a street named after him in Durban, right by the McDonald's. Hey, Dylan, how you doing? Anyway, yeah, so, yep. During this period, the Ndebele left a trail of destruction in their wake. Yep, they attacked the Boers, and the Boers allied with the Tswana, and they allied with Basotho and with the Griquas, and they defeated Mzilikazi, and he fled. So from 1837 to 1838, the arrival of Boer settlers and their subsequent battles of Vegkop and Moseka drove the Matabele north of Limpopo. They settled in the area known as Matabeleland in present-day Zimbabwe. Mzilikazi set up his new capital in Bulawayo. The Ama Ndebele drove the Mashona of the region northward and forced them to pay tribute. This caused resentment that's continued in current-day Zimbabwe. Yep. The Ndebele are not indigenous to Zimbabwe. The Shona, if there's anybody indigenous after the San, it's them. Yep. Yep. So there you go. Yep. Anyway. Consequences for the Sutu and Swana peoples. Southern Swana population experienced an increase in conflict as early as the 1780s. Significant population growth in the region, which led to more competition for resources, increasing amount of trade with the Cape Colony with the Portuguese. This had the consequence of separate chieftains becoming more eager to conquer land for themselves in order to control trade routes. Dutch settlers from the Cape Colony encroaching upon Khoikhoi and San into the regions where Swana people live result in the formation of the Korana, who started to launch raids on other communities in the 1780s. Yep. Anyway, Mshweshwe gathered the mountain clans together for alliance against the Zulu, and then he fought against the Boers. Yep. The Tswana were pillaged by two large invading forces on the move by the Mfecane. Sebatwane gathered the Bafokeng at Patsa, who were part of the Basutu, and later called to be called Kololo ethnic groups near the modern Lesotho, and wandered north across what is now into Botswana, plundering and killing many of the Tswana people on his way. Took large numbers of captives north with them. They finally settled in the Zambezi River in Barotsaland, where they conquered the Lozi people. Yep. The next force was the Mzilikazi and the Matabele, who moved across the Tswana territory in 1837. Both these invading forces continued to travel north across the Tswana territory without establishing any sort of state. Yep. Anyway, the list goes on and on. So there you go. Mfecane. Conveniently forgotten by those who try to rewrite history. Yes, Abraham. It came from West Africa, from the Cameroon region. The genetics prove it. And so there's archaeological evidence, yep. But they want to deny it. Well, Heidi, my broadcast is late tonight because I watched the pathetic U.S. performance against Turkey, where they sucked. You're unable to. I got it. I'm Rest a Monkey. I appreciate that. KZ and ANC released a photo this morning saying that this time could be as bad as 2021. I can share the image with you. No, that's fine, Rest a Monkey. Thanks. Yeah. No, well, I mean, I've said it could be worse. We'll see what happens. Yep. No, that's why it's so funny for people who don't even know South Africa, from South Africa, tell me, why do I stick my nose in South Africa? Probably because I know a lot more than most South Africans. In fact, almost every South African. It's hilarious to hear them tell me that I have no business, following South Africa or commenting on South Africa. Oh, you're welcome, Dylan. Yep, I'm feeling a little bit better, but still not quite there. History is important, so not to repeat mistakes, but somehow the human race keeps repeating mistakes just in different ways. Yeah, that's because the memory of people is selective and it's convenient. That's the problem. Selective and convenient memory. Yep. Anyway, I finally did get the interview up with the Indian family. Don't know if anybody saw that. A few people have seen it, not a whole lot. Let me see. We got 459 views. Is that what it is? 895. Okay, yeah, but it's not the time it's usually up. So anyway, hopefully that I'll get some views today. So some people misinterpreted my video about March and March leader Jacinta Nkabisi Zuma. I didn't claim that she entered the U.S. illegally. Somebody said I said that. I never said that. I mentioned she came here in the International Visitors Leadership Program. You don't come here unless you have invitational orders. I've sponsored and nominated people from Africa to come here on that program. So you don't come here unless we nominate you and you get a visa, special visa to come here. So I never made that claim. So people saying that are full of it. Also, they're saying that she's calling for cooperation with the police. No, she's not. She has issued an ultimatum to people to leave the country, foreigners. And she can pretend that she's talking about illegal foreigners, but she allows people to come to her microphone and spread terror and fear and excite crowds who go out and murder Mozambicans, not Mozambicans, Malawians in Pietermaritzburg. So that is not the actions of a responsible leader. No. I think the main reason for this is they don't like the truth, which they try to hide being exposed, especially by a learned foreigner. No, I think you're right about that, Neff. Yeah, I think you're right about that. They don't like you telling the truth, and they can't stop you. That's why they don't. That's why they don't want me in South African news. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. Yep. Yep. Absolutely true. You're spot on with that one. So that is what it comes down to. They just hate it. So the bigger problem is this. See, the problem is that they can't box me in. So while they call me all kinds of stupid names, the problem is that the full portfolio shows something very different. If I was what they called me, why would I promote the Basotho? Why would I travel all the way to the Golden Gate Park to go to the Basotho village to do a video to promote Basotho culture? Why would I go all the way to Uppington, costing me $455 or $75 for a flight to fly there from Joburg to meet with Mfecane and South, to interview a 93-year-old woman about being the last first language speaker of a language? I might be the last person to ever interview her. I don't know. I went all that way to interview her to promote the language, to try to help save that language for those folks. I wrote to her granddaughter recently too. So why would I spend my time and my energy exposing the Independent Electoral Commission's fraud against the Forum for Democrats, an entirely black Swana political party based in Zeerust? Why would I do that? See, they can't, these things don't comport with their lies about me. And it really hurts their feelings that they can't call me the evil things they want to call me and have any credibility to it. Because they would like to just dismiss me as what they want to call me, but they can't. So they do it anyway, but they get exposed. Right, they'll use the things that they can twist to their nerves. Exactly. The speaker before her mentioned colonialism. What does that have to do with March Against Illegal Aliens? What does colonialism have to do with illegal aliens? So one of my viewers sent me a thing tonight correcting me about what I said about Jacinta Nkubisi Zuma. I don't retract anything. Everything I said about her is true. Everything. Everything. She is allowing her platform to be used by people who are threatening and people are intimidating, people are terrorizing foreigners, not just illegals, but legal foreigners. Where are you at, Heinrich? Has the USA sent people to Botswana? What do you mean, has the USA sent people to Botswana? What do you mean? I lived in Botswana. I don't know what you mean. Well, Jacob might not be around in 2029. Sloth Puppy says, Colonel always says it as it is and speaks truth. Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm always correct. Correct almost all the time, but we all make mistakes. I misspoke. I think I said Freedom from Plus when I meant to say EFF yesterday. I was tired. Yep. Yep. Oh, Michigan. Okay. University of Michigan. Maize and blue. That's the Michigan Wolverines. Okay. Ann Arbor. A lot of people up that way. I guess I have to come up to Michigan. Maybe I should go to Frankenmuth. I haven't been there in, gosh, since the 80s. Going on 40 years. Hisiki says, yes, but you correct when you make a mistake. You don't gloss over it. No. If I make a mistake, I come back and I make a point of correcting the record, don't I? Yep. Yep. Well, most people like me. They're just, some hate wankers out there that don't like the truth. It's because they can't handle the truth. They just can't handle the truth, man. That's the problem. Hey, Utopi, what's going on? Utopi, did you send me an email? Because I couldn't find anything from... let me look and see. Maybe you had a chance to send it to me now because I sent you a message. Let me see if you responded. No, you haven't. I sent you an email. I can't find any email from Miss Utopi about doing an interview. I can find nothing. So I sent you an email and you haven't responded to it. I sent that. When did I send that? Didn't I send it? Oh, man, I better correct myself here. Oh, I sent it at 2:30 today. I sent it 2:30 today to a Gmail account. So that was 11 hours ago. I haven't seen anything back. Oh, wait, there it is. Wait. Oh, got it. I found it. Okay, got it. My bad. For some reason, it didn't show up that way. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I don't know where she sent it to, but I don't have an email message from her. Let me look in my spam folder. Where's the spam folder at? Oh my goodness. Oh, there it is. It's in my spam folder. Wow. Wow. Not spam. Wow, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Wow. Okay, that's why I didn't see it. I found it now. My apologies. There's a lot of nonsense in here, too. Oh, here's one. Okay, so I think I've got it now. Okay. Huh. That was weird. Okay, now I gotta find her. There it is. Got it. Okay, cool. Man, oh man. I should have just looked at my spam earlier. I don't know why I didn't think we'd go in spam. Okay, I've got it. I'll get in touch with her. Gee, many crickets. Wow. Why did hers go to spam? That's kind of annoying. You go straight to spectacular F-ups. Curry powder on the mobs. Okay. Hey, Anita, what's up? Enlight Rain says the colonel thought he was wrong once, but he was mistaken, so that counts, but it's not the same as being actually wrong. Your ancestor Wyatt has a street named after him in Durban, gives a right to Avenger side, as do the Americans who helped fight the Boer side. Many not knowing. Well, legal alien, also Daniel Lindley. Daniel Lindley was a missionary in Zululand, in what was Natal then. Daniel Lindley was there, and Daniel Lindley was a graduate of Ohio University. I attended Ohio University, and I attended military science classes in Lindley Hall, named after that same Daniel Lindley. And every time I go to Pietermaritzburg, if I have time, I make a pilgrimage to the Church of the Vow, because there's a bust of Daniel Lindley there, because of the role he played as a missionary in South Africa. Yep, so another tie of mine to South Africa. Yep. She's crying long tears now. Yeah, I guess I sound better. I don't feel quite 100% yet, though, but I'm getting there, so appreciate that. All right, so the U.S. embarrassed itself with soccer tonight. That was bad. What else we got here? Oh, the celebrities. Look, I don't really care about celebrities, but this was entertaining because they spent all their time watching the Bafana game last night. It was so annoying every time they showed that gap-toothed freaking Mama Joy. I got so sick of looking at her. They just kept focusing on her last night. Tonight, they focused on celebrities at the U.S. game. So let's see who was at the game in... That's the wrong one. Let's do it this one here. The game that was in Inglewood, which is Los Angeles. So let's take a look at this. There we go. So Brad Pitt was there. Okay. Ed Norton was there alongside him. They were chatting. I saw that. Leonardo DiCaprio, I saw him trying to hide under that black hat. Will Ferrell, didn't see him. James Cameron, never saw him. Scottie Pippen, I saw him. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, didn't see them. Lady Usha Vance, didn't see her. Is she pregnant? Looks like she's pregnant. Owen Wilson, I saw him. Paris Hilton, I did not see her. I would have remembered that. Ashton Kutcher, I saw Ashton Kutcher wearing a t-shirt. Give me a break. The guy's got millions. Jessica Alba, I did not see her. Boy, she is still smoking hot after all this time. That woman is brilliant. Got a great business. Matthew Stafford, of quarterback, didn't see him. Blake Snell, I don't even know who the hell that is. Keegan-Michael Key, I didn't see him. And Jamie Campbell, I have no idea who Jamie Campbell is. I know who Keegan-Michael Key is. Alice Bree, Dave Franco, and Christopher Mintz, don't even know who they are. Yeah, so all these celebrities were at the game in Los Angeles. Yeah. Russ the Monkey, I've done a bunch of meet and greets in well, not in Peter Maritzburg, in Howick, but I was in Peter Maritzburg. I went to, well, the Wartburg is supposed to be opening back up. Does anybody know the status of that? Yeah, no, she is amazing. I've loved her ever since she did that first TV show she had when she was young. I forget the name of that show. It was pretty good. What was that show called? It was with the guy who wound up on NCIS. What was that show called? I'm drawing a blank on that one. Jessica Alba's show. She has an interesting background. She's got Danish and all kinds of other into her background. Dark Angel. Yeah, 2000, 2002. Dark Angel. Yep. Jessica Alba. She has made so much money. Yep. Yep. She got married in 2008 and separated in 2025. Yeah, she was Michael Weatherly, who was on that show with her, 2000, 2003. She got 3 kids. I didn't realize that. Wow. So, The Honest Company, that's what she did, yeah. So she started selling, the company's success was valued at $1 billion in 2014. Yep. She stepped down as chief executive in 2024. She's made tons of money. Smart woman. Smart woman. Yep. So, yeah, 2000, she did that. She's done a lot of movies, too. I didn't realize that. Still doing movies. But Dark Angel, yeah, 42 episodes, yeah, max. It's a great show. Anyway, yeah, so that was pretty good stuff there. So I enjoyed that. Celebrities. Since Dark Angel, she's done tons of stuff, Dylan. Well, my family history, yeah. I'm going to tell my family history. I have ancestors from Switzerland, from Germany, from England, from Ireland, from Scotland, from Denmark. Hey, D. Thorne. Yeah, Rustam, thanks. The last I heard, they were going to reopen the Wartburg. So I tried to stay there in 2022, but I found out it was closed. Apparently, its last hurrah was in 2019 for the Rugby World Cup, and then they closed after that. I know the owner was murdered several years before that, and so it's always had a troubled history, although it was a great place. I really liked the Wartburg. It was nice. Yeah. So why are immigrants leaving South Africa? Well, because they're being attacked. New York Post running a story about this now from the Associated Press. Thousands of African immigrants are leaving South Africa because of rise of anti-migration anger that has sparked attacks against foreigners. The attacks coincided, strangely, with a series of protests and marches in recent months by anti-immigration groups. They threaten a national shutdown if it doesn't happen. Malawian migrants queue for deportation at temporary center in South Africa. Hundreds of newly displaced male foreign nationals stand in queue for lunch at Old Durban Drive-In. Yep. There's a history of anti-immigrant violence in South Africa. Yep. Here's Malawians on a bus trying to get out. Crazy. Hey, Rena. The PF's wife is pregnant. She looks pregnant. Either that or she's got an infection. Virtual Western Cape said, I met someone in Washington who chats with RFK on a regular basis. We got to chatting late while I was outside having coffee, bumping into important people's habit I never asked for. I don't bump into important people. I wish I did. Maybe I'd have more influence. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. Anyway. All right. Well, not a lot of people here tonight. Oh, yeah, there's more. So this thing is out of date. It's higher than that. So anyway, yeah. So, yeah, if Iran had an actual navy, imagine what they could do. Yep. Anyway, hey, Road Captain Kev, what's up? So, yeah, so today I talked to South Africans that had relocated, out-migrated here to this region, not too far from me, but the guy had a great job offer, and so he moved. He's been here since January, and he came here about 3 weeks ago, so not too far from where I'm at. And then we had some new arrivals today. Spook arrived today, went and met up with Spook, took Spook and Spouse to the to BJ's. They got some water and some ground beef and some chicken and some things to cook back in their temporary accommodation, which is lovely. And we had a drink after that. Yep, and relaxed for a little bit. So I don't know about tourists canceling trips to South Africa. I didn't know that. Yep. So anyway, it's what's your thoughts on the South African guy in the USA who flies the old South African flag? I don't know who that is. I don't know who flies the South African flag. It's freedom of speech. If people want to fly the old South African flag, I really don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't see it as a flag of oppression. The old South African flag is a compromise between the Brits and the English. And so I don't really care. I don't think it's a particularly attractive flag. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I was in the news yesterday. Which news? Where did you see it in the news, Anita? I didn't see it anywhere in the news. Yeah, they were just telling me how everybody's coming to South Africa. Yeah, I didn't know that, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't wish it. But I mean, with people being murdered in the Kruger, oh, that's his prerogative. He wants to fly a flag. It doesn't burn my shorts. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't care. People want to fly Confederate flags. I don't really care because it's not a Confederate flag. It's a battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, which is comical for people who don't even know the flag. If I had my way, I'd have a flagpole out front with the U.S. flag on it, and then I'd have a couple other flags on it. But I don't have a flag out here. Yes, I know, Charles. That's what I said. It's a Union flag, and it was a compromise. You missed what happened with potential first. Nothing. I've heard nothing new. I've heard nothing new in that case. So I just reported what was sent to me. Rust Monkey, that's fine. I mean, I that's fine. I have flags here. I don't mind. But yeah. So I also got. I mean, people give me stuff all the time, like this here. This is kind of cool. So these were given to me. These are aviator tags for your aviator bags. So Orania. Folks.Orania. Yeah, that was given to me in Florida by someone. That's pretty cool of them. Nice of them. Anyway, yeah. We have a flag code in America, and you can't fly a flag at night unless it's illuminated. You have to retire it at dusk if you don't have it illuminated. You can't let a flag touch the ground. If it does, you have to dispose of it properly, which could include burning or it can be buried. But normally it's burned. It has to be folded properly. Yeah, they are very nice. Yeah, who would have thought that setting a date for the purge of undesirables would have a negative effect on tourism? Exactly. Yeah, it hurts people's feelings flying in public, but not here. So you can fly what you want here. Yeah. So if you go from Carlisle through the mountains down towards Gettysburg, which is not too far from here on one side of the mountain, you'll see a couple houses where people fly Confederate flags, which is funny because we're in the north. Yeah. So no, but the flag code governs U.S. code how you use the flag, and so There's certain ways to do it. It determines, the U.S. flag always has to be highest. Other flags can be the same height, but they can never be higher. And the U.S. flag is always to the far right, left when viewed. It's the senior-most flag. It never comes other than... So when you look at the U.S. flag, it has to be in the far left. I'm not comfortable with clothing that has the flag emblazoned on it. That's not cool. I, for the most part, don't have any clothing that has something like that. Well, no, you hang on to it. Historical, that's fine. I've seen some very interesting historical things from the colonial era in South Africa. People having their private collections and wall safes and things like that, and firearms and flags and mementos that people have. It's pretty interesting. So, yep. Anyway, so Australia and Paraguay 0-0 tie. Turkey beats USA 3-2, and Japan and Sweden finished 1-1. So rather unsatisfying day. Well, Friday, one thing I've got to look at here. When is this game on? Okay. Let me see what time this game is on now, because that's the one I want to see. I want to see the Cape Verde game. Okay, the Cape Verde game is... Come on, I want to see today. Norway, France. Cape Verde is 8 o'clock, so I'll be able to watch that. Okay. Saudi Arabia. That's the one I want to watch. Uruguay and Spain at the same time. I don't care about that game. So there's 6 games on Friday. And there's 6 games on Saturday. Yeah. So Cape Verde has a chance to qualify. Imagine if they win. That'd be awesome. Uruguay's in trouble. Anyway, so looking forward to the Cape Verde game. Right. If the U.S. flag touches the ground, it's supposed to be disposed of properly. That's right. Not allowed to touch the ground. That's why people give their lives in battle for flags. That's a tradition that goes back a long time. Battle standard. You never let the flag fall. And if you watch the movie Glory, you'll see that the flag bearer was shot charging up to Fort Wagner, and someone rushed up to get the flag, and he was also killed. The guide on the colors, unit colors. Yep. That's just the way things are. Okay, guys, why don't we wrap it up here, okay? I'm going to hit the rack. I've got an interview coming up. We've got an interview with Rob and his wife. That's later today, so feel free to join us for that. Also, you can go watch... it's not that I love the Rusty Monkey. It's just something I need to drink. It's either that or tea. I mean, there's not much else that I really enjoy. So, got the interview coming up with Rob and Azelle. That's later this morning. And then, yep. Okay, cool beans. All right. Had a couple really good, wow, we had 7,000 people tune in for that Jordan Hill speech. I didn't realize it was that many people. That's amazing. Also, I'm very grateful. A couple of the videos recently have done well. One has done very well. That was the one that I posted on the 22nd, so that's 4 days ago. That one was still climbing yesterday. I don't know if it still is now. It looks like it's picking up a little this morning, but not a lot. That has 67,700 views. Got 195 subscribers from that. That's awesome. Really grateful for that. I mean, if I can get 200 subscribers per video, then I would make lots of videos that are worthwhile. I make lots anyway, but it's nice to get rewarded for that one. So that one is 67,000 views. That's pretty good. So appreciate that. But yeah, we're running towards the end of the month, and since it's all about the money, we're way behind. Way behind. Mostly because I traveled. So this month we're full 20, almost 30% less than last month. Yep. And we've only got 4 days left in the month because it's June. So 30th is last day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days technically. So maybe we can get somewhere. Maybe we have a good video. All right, cool. Well, we've gained 3 subscribers since this stream started, so that's nice. Union Jack was official flag for South Africa until 1920. The Union flag came down. Yep, that's what I thought. My parents, flag should not be clothing. Yeah, flag should not be clothing. I agree. All right, guys, nighttime for me. Money, it's so funny in a rich man's world. I love ABBA. Don't get me started. ABBA's my favorite of all time. All right, guys, have a good one. Cheers. Thanks. See you later today.